Final Cut Pro 11 is finally here. There is an enormous amount of stuff in this update, so this video is going to be focused on a broad overview of all of the new features coming, and then over the next week, I'll be releasing in-depth guides for each of these powerful new tools. It is incredibly exciting that this update is available, and I'm sure all of you will be downloading this as quickly as possible. That said, it's extremely important that you first back up your current version of Final Cut Pro. Backing up Final Cut Pro is ridiculously easy. Just go to Finder, locate your applications folder, find Final Cut Pro, right-click, then select Compress Final Cut Pro. The first and likely most highly requested feature for Final Cut Pro 11 is Transcribe to Captions. Transcribing in Final Cut Pro is ridiculously easy. You'll notice that I have music here on the timeline, I have sound effects, but I don't need to disable any of those. If I want to transcribe audio, all I need to do is select the clips that I want to transcribe to captions, then we can go over to the magic wand. Clicking that down arrow, we'll see Transcribe to Captions at the bottom. You can also achieve this with Command-Shift-C. And now that it is completed transcribing, we can scroll to the top of our timeline and see all of the transcriptions automatically applied onto our timeline. Now, I know you probably have the same question that I had, is can you use these captions as titles inside of Final Cut Pro? Unfortunately, this transcription feature is a version 1.0, so that feature is not available at this time. But if you watch the video that I released in just a couple days about Transcribe to Captions, you will learn how to convert all of these over into titles in Final Cut Pro completely for free. This next feature that comes to Final Cut Pro 11 is spatial video editing inside of Final Cut Pro for the Apple Vision Pro. Editing spatial videos in Final Cut Pro is almost just like editing a regular 2D video. The main key difference that you'll want to look out for is if you look in the top left-hand corner of your spatial videos, you'll notice that they now have this 3D cube icon. That just means that if you export this video in the spatial video format, those videos will come out in spatial 3D when viewing on the Apple Vision Pro. And one other super important factor you need to be aware of with spatial videos is when you create a new project, make sure you change your video format from 4K over to spatial stereo 3D. The third feature is the one that I personally am the most excited about, and that is the magnetic mask. There are so many different ways to apply a magnetic mask inside of Final Cut Pro. The easiest way is if you have a specific effect you want to apply with a mask, you can just simply click and drag it from the effects browser directly onto your footage, and you'll immediately notice how it's selecting the subject that I want to track. I'll go ahead and release that, and now we have a dotted line indicating the selection that it has made, but you might notice that it's also accidentally selecting the backdrop, and we don't want that. So I can come up to the top left, select the minus button, or you can just push Option, and then click here in the middle, and that will remove that selection. From there, I'll come to the top left and press Analyze, and that will quickly track the footage in almost real time. Once I'm done, I can go ahead and press Done, and just like that, the effect has been applied just onto this one hiker. If you want to apply a magnetic mask for the purposes of background removal, you can always go up to your magic wand, then go to Add Magnetic Mask, and from there we can click and drag over the area that we want to select, then we can push Analyze. Once it is done tracking, we can go to the top right and push Done, and now the background will be removed. If you want to learn way more about the magnetic mask, cleaning up your tracks, getting better selections, make sure you keep an eye out for my video coming out really soon. The next feature that comes with Final Cut Pro 11 is some exciting new effects. The first effect that everybody should be aware of is a new picture-in-picture effect. I'll go ahead and apply it onto the video that I want to be picture-in-picture-ified, and if we move our playhead through the video, we can see that it animates down into this simple box. We can go ahead and scale this box down, then we can use this other on-screen control to adjust the scaling on it, move it roughly into place, and then we can just simply click and drag directly on this box to move it into its final position. Additionally, we can come on over to the right side. We have different build-in and build-out animations. We could have it build from the bottom. We could have it move to the top. We can adjust the roundness on it so it's more of a circle picture-in-picture effect. We could add in this nice outline. We can adjust that outline width. We could change the color on the outline. And of course, there's a whole lot of other options, but now if we push play, we can see that animating into position and of course, animating out. The next incredible feature is the new callout effect. Again, I'll just click and drag this onto whatever clip I want to call out, and we can create this selection box. And then if we play ahead, we can see how the callout is working. Maybe I'm not quite happy with that. We want it to be focused on my logo here. And so now we can see that callout taking place. We can move the final position of this callout to maybe a place where we're happy. Then coming over here, we can adjust stuff like the roundness. Again, we could give it an outline. We could change the color of that outline and all sorts of other options to play around with. Then pushing play, we can see it animating in beautifully and of course, animating out. Another really incredible feature are these new modular transitions. To get to them, you'll just go on over to your transitions, scroll on down until you find modular transitions, and you can see them all right here. Let's say I want a split screen effect. I can just simply click and drag this as any regular transition, and as we play through, we can see that transition take place. But if I want this transition to go much longer and actually sit with that split position, I can just extend out the duration. And if we push play, we'll see that it slices it, holds it there for a long time, and then finally pushes it off. So we've already covered a lot of features, and there's actually an even larger list coming. So the next part of this video is going to be a rapid fire mentioning all of these different effects and tools. And then of course, in a later video, I will be doing an in-depth guide on how to use all of them. You can now create a custom timeline that's either 90, 100, or 120 frames per second. To do so, go ahead and create a new project. And then in your video settings, just go to custom. And from there, we can now select any of those new respective frame rates. If you have a specific clip in your browser that you don't want to delete, but you're tired of seeing it, you can simply now right click and then select hide clip. You can also get that with option H. And if you ever want to see your hidden clips, you can go up to the top right corner, change the view settings and select show hidden clips. You'll also notice that they have this icon with the eye crossed out, indicating that this specific clip is hidden. In tandem with that, when you create a new multicam clip, you'll see this new option to hide original clips. So Final Cut Pro will automatically hide the media that it's using to create that multicam and just give you the multicam inside of your browser. You can now move a clip vertically on the timeline by pushing option down or up. This specific feature is actually low-key one of my absolute favorites. There's also been a ton of stuff added to the command editor so you can create custom keyboard shortcuts for these commonly used functions. This includes stuff like rename timeline clip, show or hide audio lanes, expand or collapse subroles, trim edge selection, show horizon, consolidate motion templates, play forward or reverse at half speed, and finally paste timecode. Shout out to Chris Hawking. I know that's a feature you really wanted. Another super great addition is we've always had the ability to zoom to fit the timeline by pushing Shift Z. But if you get into a situation like this where you can't see all of your clips vertically, you can now push Option Shift Z and that will zoom it to fit vertically. As I said at the beginning, I'm going to have in-depth guides on each and every one of these features, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and with that being said, I cannot wait to see you in the next one.